never forget Pricey where we came from, but that intro is so much better than the old one. Welcome to this week's episode of Across the Park podcast, Blue Edition. If you missed last week's show and you've just come back off holiday and you tune in hoping for some Liverpool chat, unfortunately you might have to press back and go and watch the LFC Day Trippers or the Redmen TV, because we are going forward. We are going to be exclusively only an Everton FC show. Just to recap last week, we did say that we tried all summer to maybe keep it as banter and debate, both sides of the park. It just became really impossible to do. Time frames and things for the Reds. The Reds working different shifts, different cities, and myself, Pricey and Judgy, a little bit more stable with our work and life, and we're allowed to maybe have a bit more free time and the night time. So going forward, myself, Ian Mills, Andrew Price and Gary Judge will be bringing you, hopefully, the very, very best Everton content that you're going to watch and listen to. Myself, Ian Mills, Andrew Price. Pricey, just to put a full stop on that, you said last week that you're excited, aren't you, going forward, that there's maybe some stuff that we possibly couldn't do because of Red's audience, which may allow us to do some more bits and bobs? Yeah,
it just means we can do a bit more outside of the normal chat that we're doing now. Obviously, we're going to keep this chat on, but we can, do a few more specials. We've done the summer specials and stuff like that, and we can do a bit more like that and make it obviously fully Everton, and we can go off on a bit of a tangent rather than having to think about what the Liverpool type of fans would want and want to be listening to and see. So, yeah, let's see how it goes, innit? Let's see how it goes, onwards and upwards.
That's it. Some new graphics, over on the social media. Instagram and Twitter is at Across the Park PC. We've got a new logo. We've ripped the Reds there for having no time. We haven't had any time to update our YouTube channel with the new logo. So if anyone's looking at that red logo thinking this is not an Everton show, we're with you. We've got a new logo ready to go. It's just not on this week's show. But if you head over to the socials, Across the Park PC, new logos on there, and we'll be updating the social media a lot more regularly as to what we're going to do. Like Pricey said, the floodgates are open now. We can do more instant shows. We don't have to worry about the balance of shows, and we're hoping to do that. Before we do get into the show, big shout, as always, to our sponsors, Vir Clothing, virclothing.com. There's a massive sale on the past few weeks. If you walk around Liverpool City Centre, they're all kitted out in Vir. It's such a great brand of clothing. I'm wearing my very basic but stylish blue T-shirt. I know Pricey's got a few nice garments there as well. If you do find some shoes, find a scarf, you find a coat, you find some jeans and a hoodie and a T-shirt for the winter, make sure you put ATP20 in checkout. You will get the Park podcast. Pricey, no games last weekend. The death of Queen Elizabeth II meant that our version of sports halted. Some other versions of sport didn't. Cricket went ahead. There was rugby. I think football and boxing took a big hit. Without getting too political, we're not like that. But do you think it was probably the right call to have a weekend off and let the country sort of go into that mourning stage, which they're still officially in?
Absolutely not. No chance. Right. Should have carried on. I don't understand why it didn't. I've seen on social media, and a few people have said that, Gary Neville in particular, are seeing why couldn't we have it and the fans show the respect first of all and do it that way, but second of all, the amount of fans who bought train tickets and match tickets and accommodation. I know we were going down to Arsenal and there was people staying over the night before. What's happened to them? They're not getting no refunds. Nobody's thought about that. It's absolute. You go over back in COVID and how crap football was without the fans, and then you think something like this, they'd be thinking about the fans more than they'd be thinking about anything else, and the royal family in particular. I'm sure the players wanted to play. I'm sure all the managers wanted to play. Who wants an extra game in a pile up later on in the season when it's congested anyway? Nobody. Got a World Cup coming up. I thought it was a ridiculous decision, to be honest, and I don't. Especially with if they would have said there's a ban on sports, no sport can go ahead this weekend, you'd accept a little bit more. But as you say, all the sports went on, or the majority of other sports went on apart from ours, and it was the worst thing was the Sunday League footy was called off as well for the kids. Yeah. The kids couldn't even get out and have a game of footy, and I just wasn't into it at all. Fair play, pay your respects to the Queen dying. It's not about that. It's two separate issues. This is for me I thought it was a really bad decision and poor on the everyday fan.
I'm with, do you know what? It would have sat a lot better with me, like you said there, of every sport. If they just said, look, I don't want that to happen, but it would have sat a lot better with me if they said every sport. But you watch like the cricket and you watch the rugby, and you see how respectful the supporters were and the staff who were playing and stuff. And that, to me, that visual would have been a lot better for everyone to say, go and look at the SPL, go and look at the English Premier League, go and look at grassroots and go and look how they are paying respects. And to me, that would have been a much, much better visual. But one bonus, really, that we didn't play is because the injuries have sort of... We've had a hard time at the start of the season, but one player that I didn't really want to lose, arguably man of the match in a Merseyside derby, was Jordan Pickford. So he went down last week. We're here in 3 or 4 weeks. Take the Arsenal game out, that now is 2 or 3 weeks. But that's a big blow, isn't it? Jordan Pickford picking up that injury.
Yeah. He's looked really good. I mean, he looked good last season, and he's, especially the end of last season, made some really important saves and been great this season as well. But I think, the Arsenal game being off, we've got international break, isn't it, coming up? So that's another week that he's got to recover. It's a disappointing one, but I think our sub-keepers, Begovic is a calm and steady keeper. So I don't think it's not like you got an understudy who's a complete rookie like we've had in the past, and you're a bit nervous about putting him in. I think we should be fine with Begovic, but from Pickford's point of view, it's disappointing because he's on that role. You can see him confident. He's got the captain's armband, and he just looks. I wouldn't say he looked calmer in the fact that he's still shouting his defender, and he's still got that edge about him, but. The way he plays the game is calmer than it would be, less erratic, I think, in his decision making when it comes to playing footy. So he'll be gutted that he's not involved. But as I say, I don't think he will be a miss. But because our understudy's a decent understudy, I think hopefully it won't be obvious on the pitch that we're missing our keeper, if that makes sense.
Yeah, look, if it's a game or two, then okay. I'm not having sleepless nights over a game or two. Begovic, like I said, he's got lots of experience. He's shown he's a good goalkeeper. If someone said to me it's 8 to 12 weeks, I probably would be a bit worried. I agree with you. I think he'd probably get by with Begovic, and I think he'd probably get by again if this happens again for 2 or 3 weeks of the second half of the season. It's just like you said, he's been the captain this season, and he's pushed great performances in. I think you could see, I know you were away for the derby, from where we sit, when you sit in the park end, you could see his kicking in the second half was bad. And apparently that's part of the injury that he's got, is that he's been carrying this injury for a while. He's been playing through it. And that second half against Liverpool, I mean, you could see, even despite he was making great saves. So probably the right thing to pull him out now. The international break helps. The fact that we didn't have a game last week, even though we don't like it, helps. But one man, it probably does help as well. Another week on the training grounds, no setback so far. You're looking forward to seeing Dominic Calvert-Lewin get back in the team, and for you, does he come right back in?
I am looking forward to him getting back, because I think the system needs that striker up front. But I wouldn't. He's been like glass the last couple of seasons, so I wouldn't rush him back in. I'd take it slowly and build him into it. I wouldn't just start him just because he's fit, because match fitness is a completely different thing, and I think Maupay should get it by. Same again, another couple of games. If it's going to be for the better of the long term, then I'd just leave him out and bring him on for 20 minutes here and there and get him back into it. But it's a weird one with him, because last season, even when he was fit, he didn't look fit, and he always looked like he might get injured again. And I don't know what's going on there, but I'd hate to think that he's going to be one of those injury-prone players, because there's nothing worse than having an injury-prone player comes back, and Yerry Mina is the same, bringing them back a few games and then they go off again. So I'd take it slowly. I'd handle with care, and I'd bring him on gradually until he's ready. But he's still the number one striker, isn't he? And when he's fit and he's raring to go and he's match fit, then I'm looking forward to him being in the team in that system that we played against Liverpool. I think he'd be effective in that system.
The thing with Lewin is now, I mean, he's getting both sides of the injuries, and by that I mean he's getting the serious ones, he's getting the groin tears, he's getting the 2 and 3 month ones, but then he's getting the knocks on top of it. So for me, this has been a prolonged period. This has been 5 weeks, 6 weeks, and with Lewin, since he's bulked up, he doesn't seem to stay fit. And I don't know if that's linked. Maybe I'm just in my head. I'm seeing that since you're bulked up, you're never fit. But last season we brought him back, I think it was Brighton at home the first week in January, and he played, and then he was injured again, and then Lampard came in and he broke down in training, and then Lampard was trying to push him back in, he broke down again. There just seems to be a problem keeping him fit, so I don't know whether the right thing is to rush him back in.
No, I don't think it is. I think what it is he had that pretty serious, well, the most serious injury last season, and then we were forced to try and push him, and not only by putting him in the team early, but probably in training, Lampard trying to push him and trying to get him fit when he's not, because we desperately needed him. So when it's like that and you get him rushed back, then you're bound to pick up niggles and little injuries here and there. It's this injury just before the season started. That was the unfortunate one, I thought, and the one when I thought I'd be raring to go now. He's had the summer and he'll be ready for it. But yeah, I think you've got to be very careful with someone like that, especially as you say, when he's physical and he's sort of changing the way he played and the way he looks in terms of bulking up just a little bit. It can affect him. But let's see how he goes. It'd be great to have a firing Calvert-Lewin with service. Because last season was when he didn't have the service. If we can have him with service and see if he can get those goals that he had when Carlo Ancelotti was here, those tap-ins and those 6-yard box goals and penalty box goals, it'd be ideal to have someone down the team.
Do you think, I'm going way off topic here, but just because you've said about service and stuff, are we set up still in a way to benefit him? Because I think when he did play last season, I don't think our style now, I think that he flourished when everything was for him. He said, Richarlison, whether you're sulk or not, you're left. James Rodriguez, you've got the opportunity to go right or float. You've got Gylfi Sigurdsson as a 10. And you had two fullbacks, and it looked to me like that system was built for the number 9. Now, we know Carlo has always built his systems around number 9s, and he did that with Calvert-Lewin. I don't really see what you say he needs, which I agree with, by the way, a lot of service. I see Anthony Gordon developing as a player and putting goals on his game. I see Alex Iwobi as now our number 10, who's playing really, really well. I don't see that Michalenko is an attacking left back. I just don't see where the service is coming from, and that makes me wonder whether he will be as effective as we actually need him to be.
I don't know. I think once we've got a whole midfielder, so you bring Garner Day into the equation, I think the fullbacks can push on a little bit more. Then I think Patterson, you're looking at Patterson, he's an up and down fullback. He's a Seamus Cole, mate. He's going to be providing the service. You've got, I think, Michalenko under Ashley Cole's. Don't forget, he's been here for less than a year. With Ashley Cole, coaching him and teaching him. Ashley Cole was always up and down. I think Michalenko, they've got the idea of him being the same. Once he develops, I think that'll be the service. But I just like the way, I think Morpie done it the other week when he did hold her up a couple of times and allowed others to get round him and get past them. And I think that's what Calvert-Lewin will do. And then, as I say, you got the fullbacks overlapping once we've got that whole midfield, and once we're a bit more sure in the middle, I think the fullbacks will get in. He will get the service. And you say about Ancelotti, the famous sort of direction he gave Calvert-Lewin was just to stay within the width of the goal. And I think if that's what we can do for him, we don't want him chasing running no channels, not like that. Hold the ball up, bring other people in, and then get into the box. I think it is set up for him personally. I think we'll be all right in that. And Gordon needs to put goals in on his game, but he also needs to put assists on his game. His numbers are low, and he started this season better. But I think if I think about it, I do think that it is set up for the way we want to play will benefit Calvert-Lewin eventually.
It'd be interesting to see if first of all we keep him fit, and second of all he does fit in the system, because I think this Everton team now have got for the first time probably in a couple of years have now got a couple of ways that they can play. I'm going into Saturday on Sunday, and I couldn't tell you what formation it'd be, never mind the personnel. So it's going to be interesting, isn't it, to see how he does fit in.
Well, that's what I was going to say. What do you think he started 3 at the back? I think out of necessity he's gone to this system that he played against Liverpool. Do you think that's his preferred one, or do you think he's the type of manager who'll just look at, not game by game as such, but look who's available and sort of adapt the system? Or do you think he's got something in mind how he wants to play and he's trying to get us into that place?
I think more the latter, but I'll counter that with my own argument here. I think he likes the idea of 3 centre-halves. I think he played it at Chelsea. I was no Derby County avid watcher, but when I read articles on Lampard and stuff, apparently he played the 3 at Derby County, and he likes that way of playing. But I also think he's showed already that he is open to seeing if something else works, we'll go with that. And I think he might have stumbled across now the 4-3-3. I think bringing Idrissa Gana Gueye in, for me, our best formation now puts 3 men in midfield. If you can have Idrissa Gana Gueye, and you can put Alex Iwobi a little bit further forward. I don't know. I just thinking, and you've got Onana as well, who's got loads of positive signs. I think that's a nice three. I think they'll complement each other. So to answer your question, I think he prefers a three at the back, but I don't think he'll go back. I don't think he'll revert to that so soon. I think he will probably keep it as a 4-3-3 until he has to change.
Yeah, I think the same. He's the three at the back. I don't think it's worked when he's played with us, but I agree with you. I think that's what he'd like to play in his mind. He likes that system because he likes the fullbacks pushing on and whatever else. So I think that's what he would prefer to do. But and you look at it, we've potentially got three decent centre backs. Once Godfrey's back to play it, but yeah, I don't know. I would not be disappointed.
Yerry Mina as well. If Yerry Mina comes in, all of a sudden if you look at Yerry Mina, for me, he's got to be on the pitch. So there's that then, isn't it? So
if he sticks to this 4-3-3, watch it, and everyone's fit, who's your two?
It's hard, and that's where I think I go into the weekend, and I don't know what he'll play. I think if Ben Godfrey was fit and Yerry Mina was fit, Cody and Tarkowski are fit, I just think it is the best way to make that team stronger, to get as many of them on the pitch as possible. Is that how you look at it? And then you have to say, well, we'll abandon our shape a little bit, and we'll have a number 10 and the wing backs, and then we'll lose a Gordon or we'll lose a Gray because Iwobi goes further up and you play a 10 off a 9. And that's what I mean. There's lots of options in my head, and when they're all fit, I don't know how we'll line up. I really don't. For me, that's a good thing. I don't want to go into a weekend thinking like we have to change it because it's not working, like I did and you did at February and March that season, where we were crying out for like just find something that sticks. I think we're in a position now, which sounds funny because we've not won a game yet in the Premier League. I think we're in a really, really healthy position to analyse the opposition that are coming up and try and get a game plan. And the game plan can be 2 or 3 things for me.
Yeah, it definitely goes back to the summer. I mean, we gave them a 7 out of 10 in the transfer market last week. I think that was probably harsh when you look at it and you look at the players we've got rid of and brought in and those options. But 3 at the back here, for me, you lose a midfielder in our team, and you lose either one, as you say, an attacking threat or just a midfielder to shore up the middle of the park. So I agree. We've got loads of options. I love it when you have 2 players in every position.
Yeah.
And you have a formation, and them 2 players are battling for that one position, and you have decent players on the bench rather than trying to squeeze all your good players into the team. I'd rather have a formation and keep players on the bench who are itching to play the next game. That's how I'd do it. And I think if I was Frank Lampard, 4-3-3 would be my preferred position formation, just judging on the players that we've got.
No, I can't argue. Look, if anyone agrees or disagrees with myself and Pricey, get in the comments. And while you're on our YouTube page, while you're watching it, hit subscribe, hit like. It really helps out. The more subscribers we get, it allows us to do a little bit more things, some live things perhaps in the future. And like I said at the start of the show, now we are just Blue. There's no doubt that we can bring you some more content from maybe around the grounds on a match day. So please hit subscribe. Please hit like. It really does help us. If you want to go over to our socials, give us a follow on Across the Park PC on Twitter and Instagram. What we do on Twitter is before we record, the day of, we ask for some questions and people do get in touch. We've got one here from Liam Pricey, and just to stick with the theme there of maybe our best formation and how we do fit players in. He said, "Hi lads, where are you on possibly Maupay in a front 3 with Gordon and DCL?" He said, "With the obvious lack of goals in our team, does another striker have to play, i.e. Maupay, or would you stick with the pace of Gray?" And he's added, "Personally, I think Gray could be a big plus for us when he's on the bench and coming off it versus starting games." Where are you on that?
I think Maupay's been brought in as a Richarlison type replacement where he can play centre if you need him to, but he can play as one of the wide positions as well. I think the strongest front 3 is it might not be popular for saying this, but I think it's Gray, Calvert-Lewin and Gordon. I think the guy. Sorry, Liam just said that Gray on the bench. I think if you're going to play Maupay wide, I'd have Gordon as a sub. I think Gray's Gray gives you more than Gordon in terms of, as we were saying before, your assists and driving the team forward. That'll come with Gordon. Obviously, he's young, but I'd have Graham before him. But Maupay as a it's not wide, is it? But it sort of is as a wide forward. Definitely, I think he'll play that throughout the season. As I say, in the same way as Richarlison did before. I think that's one of the reasons he's in there. Maupay, I said before, I'm not sure he's a goal scorer. So if anyone's thinking, or I might be wrong in this, but if anyone's thinking that he's going to be a Calvert-Lewin sort of, it's him or Calvert-Lewin in the team, I don't think that's the way it's going to work. I think he's going to be rotated across the front three, because I don't think Maupay, I don't think he guarantees you goals in the same way that we're hoping Calvert-Lewin will when he comes back. What about you? What's your, if you had to do it, because you were saying we needed another striker in the window. So if you've got your front three, we went about the centre back. So who's your strongest front three? Is Anthony Gordon guaranteed a place in your front three, and then it goes from there, or is it?
Yeah. So for me, I'd put the one constant in the team for me would be Anthony Gordon. I think now's the time to put the cape on him. He's got the number 10. Fans love him. I don't know what happens in the summer and at the end of the transfer window. I've seen everything you've seen. He wants to go. He doesn't want to go. The club will sell him. The club won't. I think now is the time to maybe give him a fresh contract. He's the poster boy. Get him out there. Kids our age, and I know your little girl is at the age now where she wants a hero. And I think he's probably the closest thing you're going to get to a hero minus Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I'd put the rocket ship on him, and I'd say to him, "You're the man." For me, I'd go with Gordon definitely. Maupay, again, I've only seen what others have seen, but I'll be completely honest, I'm not really impressed. I think the chance that he spanned in the derby was almost criminal. I think the fact that he took a touch even fools Alisson into making it a better save. Like Alisson didn't expect that because. Anyway, I'm not convinced on Maupay at the moment. Will he give you hard work? Will he be a fan's favourite because he'll front a defender and he'll chase the ball down? Absolutely. I've got no doubt that. Scoring wise, I don't think he's going to be the answer. And that then means that you've got to play Dominic Calvert-Lewin for me. You've got to. You absolutely have to. And I think the manager last season was right. In March and April to drop Dominic Calvert-Lewin and give Richarlison the cape, if you will. I think he was right. I don't think there's that many chances to do that this season. I'd go against what you're saying. I think Maupay is a backup. I think he's brought Maupay in. I get the impression that we've ticked in the window. We've got a budget. We've got a list of names. We haven't scored goals we haven't scored many goals in the first few games, and I think the trigger's been pushed, or the button's been pushed on Neil Maupay. Demarai Gray would then go the other side. For me, I think Demarai Gray is a really good player. I don't think he's a fantastic player, but I think he's really good. But yeah, I don't come out the ground with you and slag him off like we have done with other players at times. I've not had reason to. Has he had bad games or poor games? Yeah, but who doesn't? We're seeing Mo Salah at the moment. He was better than Messi this time last season. He scored one in whatever now, so it does happen. But I think he's a good player. So I'd be minded to agree with you. I'd be Gray, DCL, and I'd be Anthony Gordon. But for me, the constant would be Gordon. But I can sort of see what Liam means. I think if we're 0-0 or whatever, and some sort of negative result, I think Demarai Gray coming off the bench for the last 20 minutes makes the opposition think this is a new dimension here. I think they'd think that more than they would if Maupay came on. So I can maybe see what he means. But for me, the main three would be Gordon, DCL, Demarai Gray. Another question, Pricey, on the social media from Jamie. He wants to know what we've made of Tom Davis's start of the season. Jamie's actually said he's been really impressed with Tom Davis so far this season. Arguably, may keep his shirt at the weekends, even though Idrissa Gana guys is there.
If he did keep his shirt, I wouldn't argue with it because he has played well. He came on against Villa. He was starting for, I think he came on, didn't he? He was brilliant.
Came on to be, yeah.
And he's been great since then. I'm not. He's one of those players that when he first came into the team, I really liked him, and I liked him for ages, and then he dropped off. But I think what he's doing now is he's got a confidence about him that he lost. He completely lost on the ball. He's an hard worker, saying he's an hard worker off the ball. He got a bit lazy last season or the season before, on the ball and off the ball. He started sort of not tracking back as much as he did, and he was a bit giving lazy passes, and he was underconfident and all that type of thing. And I think Lampard has sort of instilled a bit of confidence into him and just told him to keep it simple, just work hard, make the close players down, and when you've got the ball, just find your man, find your pass, and build your confidence from there. And he's been really good. He's made some important challenges. And yeah, I'd Garner Gay will come into the team just because I think for me he lifts it up a level again. But Tom Davies he's been really good. You can't. Nobody watching Everton this season and watching Tom Davies surely can come away thinking that he hasn't been good. He's been good. And if he'd have been a new signing in the summer, you'd be raving, or not raving, but you'd be made up with him. You'd be saying, look, he's settled in really well. What a good player we've got in our hands there.
It's been good. Well, I've got a perception of Davies. I'm not biggest fan. I remember me and you were at the fun day, weren't we, for Alfie squads who we're members of. So please get over to Alfie squad on Twitter and donate and see the great things they're doing. But we were there at the fun day, and nobody came on. I said, "Yo, fucking hell, Tom Davies," and you were a bit like, "Come on, give him a chance." And I had the perception of him where it was gone for me. But I'm open. I'm hoping and I'm open to being wrong with Tom Davies. I think he started the season really well. I think the Aston Villa game he was good. I think North Forest he was good. I think you then go into the away games where he was good, and then the derby. I thought, even though Idrissa Gana Guy is a better player, and I think Everton were a better team for Idrissa Gana Guy coming on for Tom Davies in the derby. But if it was someone else going off, I wouldn't have argued. I wouldn't have been like, it has to be Davies. I thought he was getting down the pitch, and his shape was good. I think in the derby as a whole, Everton's shape was really, really good. Liverpool expected Everton to come out, and Tom Davies was a big part of Everton's shape being well. So yeah, if he starts on Sunday, I'm not going to lie, I'd prefer Idrissa Gana Guy to start, but if he started on Sunday, I wouldn't be on the WhatsApp, I wouldn't be on the Twitter like high rate with caps lock. I think he probably deserved. And if you really take a step back from your personal opinion on players, arguably deserve to stay in the team.
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying. If he's in the start now, no one can argue about it, because on merit he's there, isn't he?
Yeah.
And he's only, let's see how it goes. But as a player, if even if he's not a starter, if he's going on for the rest of the season, if he's a squad player, if he does come into the team, and when he does come into the team, if he performs to that level, and he's obviously a scouser around the place as well, he's a good player to have in your squad, I think.
Yeah. Just the last question, Pricey, I plucked from Twitter. Just trying to pluck one that was a little bit different. So Liam on Twitter has messaged us, and he said he's seen on social media that this is the anniversary or the old This Week in History we used to do of the Everton 3, Man United 3 game in 2010. For anyone who's young, who's too young to remember that or just can't remember it, it's the game that Everton scored 2 goals at the street end in stoppage time, and it just went ballistic. United were winning 3-1. Mikel Arteta scored the equaliser after Tim Cahill scored, and the scenes were crazy. He's actually added here, Liam, he said, "Silly me, I left early and missed the equaliser. I'm still gutted when I see that goal back on Sky Sports." Price, I think you can top him. You didn't miss 1 goal. You missed 2, didn't you? Yeah,
I got off with 3-1. You know what? That's the only... I think we were hungover. We went with our mate Hopkins, and I'm sure we were hungover in the from we'd been out the night before, and we were hungover in the Gladys Street. And all game we were feeling ropey, and at 3-1 we just looked at each other, we were like, what are we doing? We just go. We didn't look like scoring when I got off it. Like, didn't look. I don't know what happened when I left, but we just didn't look like scoring. It wasn't like we were having attacks and the fans were all up behind them. It was dead. It was just like, this isn't happening. So come here, we'll get off. So we're walking out, and we got by the Spello, and we just heard the roar, and we were like, 3-2? No way, 3-2, mad that. Carried on walking, and then we walked further down by the brew and all that, over the bridge. And Hopkins just looks at his phone and goes to me, "It's 3-3. And you could hear it slightly, but it didn't sound like anything more than just like a walk. And I was like, "You are joking." I was like, "No." And I didn't know whether I was happy because we'd equalised or gutted because I missed it. No one then I didn't know how to feel. I was like, but obviously made up. We got the equalised. But yeah, I didn't see either of the goals, and gutted about that one, missing that one. But yeah, boss to come back from but then there was the Man United. Then I don't know if it was before or after the Man United one when we were 3-0 down at half time. We come back to 3-3, And then they scored 4-3. Yeah, that's the other Man United game I remember. I was at that one. I watched all of that one. But yeah, the 3-3 killer. That you was away, wasn't you? Was you away on holiday that game?
I was away. So you're talking 2010. So we were 25 then. Showing our age now, 25. So 2010, I was in Orlando, and you sound fucking ancient here. You sound proper ancient and old, but it weren't WhatsApp and it weren't like Wi-Fi and social media weren't like it is now. So I remember just not having any data and having like an old phone. And I was around Disney World with my wife, who's my girlfriend at the time, and one of our first holidays. And I remember ringing home, just saying to her, like, well, I'm going to ring home. Well, it's 5:30 in America's time. That'll be whatever, 1:30 or whatever. Just finds out what the final score was. And I remember ringing home. I lived at home at the time. Dad, God rest his soul, he said, oh, it's nearly finished. They got beat 3-1. Fucking hell, just put the phone down. And it bummed me out. I was like, I don't think we'd started the season well, and it bummed me out a little bit. And I was like, walking around Disney World, fucking Everton, only Everton could do you like this. And then her dad rang her. I said, is Ian made up? She's like, why would Ian be made up? I mean, they fucking equalised at the end. He scored 2 goals. Is he watching it? It's like, of all the games that I only miss, we're not even finding a bar in Orlando to go and watch it in. And yeah, I was running straight to Space Mountain after that with a big smile on my face.
That's what happened to me. Mark and my dad and all that were like, oh, it was great wearing it. Oh, it was brilliant wearing it, boss, and all that. And I was like, completely missed it.
Right, so let's move on back to footy. No more Disney World and being hungover stories. The season so far, like I said there, we haven't won. I think there's been progress despite that. But how would you view the season so far as a whole? Like, I'm talking everyone. Like, Man City seems to have, at one point for me, pulled ahead, then had some indifferent results. I've absolutely loved watching Liverpool having different results, but they're still there. Man United have been up and down already. Chelsea have sacked a manager. How are you viewing the season so far, 5 or 6 weeks in? It's a bit chaotic to me.
It is chaotic, and I think because, looking at the top end of the league, or as it is, as you would look at that, I think because Man City and Liverpool over the past 2 seasons have won so many games, I think there's a bit of panic when one of the top teams doesn't win a game or when they draw. Yeah. And they sort of go on a down. Well, from the looks of it so far, they go on a bit of a downer. So Man United, obviously, at the start, they went down. They've pulled it back a little bit now. Liverpool themselves, City, sort of stumbled a little bit with a draw or whatever. And then you've got Arsenal who've just drew, and I think they'll probably go on a bit of a down. I think there's feels like there's loads of pressure on the top teams more than there's ever been. And I think that means that they're probably beatable in that sense, if you know what I mean, because I think they'll be so desperate to think that they have to win and they have to go for the results, and that's why Chelsea have obviously changed the manager so early, because they haven't had a great start and they're expecting Man City and Liverpool to win as many games as they have done over the last couple of seasons. I had Brighton to go down at the start of the season because they lost Basuma and they lost the left back. And I know, yeah, and didn't replace them with. Well, they might have replaced McCauley, but no one that you think is going to be outstanding. They brought in Gilmore, who I'm not really a fan of from Chelsea, and I thought they'd go down. And now that they've lost Potter, I can imagine Brighton to sink a little bit like Charlton did when Kirbysley went, for example. I think they'll fall down in terms of being, for Everton. I think we started. I'm weirdly pleased with how we've started. Just seeing how we've got a bit of something about us in terms of how we're playing, how we're set up, and also a bit of fight that we perhaps haven't had lately. But I don't think any team, Haaland is obviously great, but I don't think any team has particularly stood out as being. And obviously they got the top teams, but I mean maybe one of the middle teams, or West Ham or whatever, usually push on and they look really good at the start of the season. I don't think there's been anyone from what I've seen that you've looked at and gone, they're going to be good this season, or And I think that gives us hope to think that we can be one of the teams to, if we get a run together, to push up. Personally, that's the way I'm feeling.
I think the only team who stood out, and it was like by default because of the fixtures, was Arsenal. But then they went to United last week or 2 weeks ago, and then that's the first time they've had a game, really, because on paper they've beat teams who Arsenal should always be beating. So they stood out at first, and I was looking, going like, that's all it takes sometimes. If you get momentum and you get to Christmas, maybe Arsenal are in there, but then you're seeing them last week revert to type. United are just a mad one for me. I look at their team and I go, I wouldn't want to play them. And then you watch some games and you'd be like, they're awful. And then the next week you'll watch them and you'd be like, fucking, I wouldn't want to play them again. They're back to being, there's just no consistency. And with their new manager, I think that'll probably take this season for them to yo-yo like that. And then I think if they yo-yo and lands at fourth, that's great for them. I'd love to see Liverpool just disintegrate. That squad at some point is just going to burst. You can't play at that level for that amount of time at that intensity and not go pop. Eventually, it's going to go pop. And I'd love this to be the season because I don't think they've looked that good. I haven't seen them come to Goodison in a number of years, and I've gone, we can beat these here. And the other week, I was in the game live, saying to your Mark, who was next to me, fucking hell, the longer this game goes on, we've got these. So I think transitional for them as well a little bit.
It's not going away from Liverpool on this podcast now, but Liverpool have, when I'm looking at their team, they haven't replaced. Man City have replaced Sterling, or they've replaced, Fernandinho, and they've got better and better as they go. Liverpool, they've still got James Milner on the pitch, who Man City got rid of 5 years ago or whenever it was. Yeah. So I think Liverpool have let themselves, look, touch wood, I'm not speaking too soon. I think they've let themselves down by not replacing with more quality when they've been at the top, which all the top teams do. Once you're at the top, you just replace them. Alex Ferguson say it's a 4-year cycle on teams. You've got to replace your team every 4 years. And Liverpool feel like it's been that team, maybe 1 or 2 additions for a long time now. And yeah, I think they're coming to the end of that cycle.
I think so.
So see what happens. I think Everton, when you look at those middle teams, which I think Everton, you could argue we're one of the bottom teams. I don't mean in the league now. I just mean expectation-wise. But I think we're still in that middle pack. I think with a run. Don't forget the World Cup's in the middle of the season as well, so it's getting a bit of momentum before the World Cup, and then once the World Cup's finished, having a good go of it, I think we can. I think top half. I'm happy with us if we get top half.
100%. I think the league's that tight, and it has been tight for a couple of years now. I don't think there's much between like 6th and 14th. I think that path we're arguably in. I just think I wouldn't be surprised to see Everton 7th or 13th. You know what I mean? Because all the teams like that. I think you've got your new 3 will be down there. Bournemouth and Forest. They'll fight, and I think Marco Silva will have good moments, but they'll be caught out. Bournemouth already, got Gary O'Neill, caretaker manager. They got a good result at Forest. Forest again showing something already. They bounced up. Had bad results as well. They'll be down there. I think for me, the one team, unless he completely turns it around or they change manager, I think Villa are in trouble,
So yeah.
I think
his record, he hasn't got a good record, has he? He had that initial bounce when he first went in, but he hasn't. And he's fell out with a few players as well, hasn't he? Apparently. Once you start falling out with players, good players as well, like top players there, like characters as well. Yeah, the captain, sorry, and Ollie Watkins as well, who's I imagine is well regarded there. He's a good player. Apparently, fell out with him at some point. So, be nice, like. Be nice.
If Liverpool go pop and Steven Gerrard takes Villa down, be very, very nice. Look, talking about that middle pack there, our opponents on Sunday for me in that same middle pack.
Yeah.
West Ham not started too well. Going in, we've talked formation. We've both said there that we probably don't know how we will line up. But just looking ahead to the game, what are you expecting? For me, I don't want to put too much pressure on it because if Everton equalise in the last minute and the ground's bouncing, I'll be happy. But it's time for a win. It's time to put 3 points on the board.
Yeah, for the way we've played, and saying there that I'm quite pleased how we've gone. You do need that first win. We said it when we played Forest a couple of weeks ago, and we drew, and it's disappointing. But I think it's come now. You're in the middle of September. The season started a month ago. You've got to get that win. Over a month ago, actually, wasn't it? This season, so you've got to get it. I think disappointing we didn't play against Arsenal, but you look at the positives and say it's an extra week on the training ground. It's an extra week to get fit for your likes of Ghana and Onana and get used to England, and more Morpie to get used to the team or whatever else. So that's hopefully a positive. I've put us, done me predicted on Super 6. I've put us down to win. I do think we'll win. I think West Ham have started poorly from when I watched them again. I only watched them once, but they didn't play well. I forget who it was against now, but They when you look at them on paper, they're not a top 4 team or a top 5 team, which Moyes has been, getting them, like as he did with those, getting them up against the top end teams. I think this season is probably the season where they'll maybe get found out, and I'm not saying that they'll be fighting relegation or anything like that, but I can't see them having that good season, top 6 season that they've had the last couple of seasons. I think they'll fade this, and I think it's a perfect chance for us to get a win. I do think we will win, and I think if we do win, international break coming up, so it makes the win even more important for me going into that international break with that win, and it'll feel like we're flying then, I think.
Yeah. Well, they're playing tonight, so we're recording Thursday, 6:20 now. They're playing tonight over in Norway. So, I know it's only the Europa League conference and stuff, and maybe the opposition isn't at a standard where they're going to give them a proper game, but it's not about that. It's about the travel. It's about getting back Friday morning, having your cool down session Saturday, then your set piece training, and then travelling to Liverpool overnight and stuff. So if anyone's watching, we don't condone fireworks at hotels, but if anyone has got fireworks near a hotel, maybe it's
who's West Ham? But they bought that player from Lyon, didn't they? What's his name?
Yeah.
I can't remember his name. He's
getting
ready. Who else have they bought though?
Let me just tell you now. If anyone's wondering why we haven't got a clue what we're talking about, it's because Judgy's not on. The College of Knowledge, who knows everything. So they bought Lucas Paqueta from Lyon, £38 million. They bought Gianluca Scamacca from Sassuolo. He's a striker, £32 million. Maxwell Cornet, left winger from Burnley. They bought. The rest of the names just scream Moyes to me. Yeah. Little small signings.
Sorry, go on.
No, I was just thinking when you were saying there about Moyes. I was thinking last season, and rightly so, loads of plaudits for West Ham and loads of plaudits for Moyes, and I could sort of see what he done at West Ham, because I've seen it at Everton and I could see what he was doing. What I'm seeing now is also very Moyes. Sometimes Moyes can start the season and it can very quickly. You're in December and he'll fix it. West Ham will be absolutely sound, but I've also seen at Everton that Moyes does start seasons slow, and Everton have gone to West Ham in September and lost, for example. So for me, it's to take advantage of it that they're playing in Norway tonight. The team is not quite set as it stands. He's experimenting. He's had money to spend, and why not go and get an absolute fucking thumping on Sunday? Yeah. For me, that'll be it. I absolutely do agree that we need to win the game. I'd love nothing more than for that to be a 3 or 4-0. You know, I think to send Everton into international break there, that's for me what we should be aiming for.
Yeah. Like I say, we're gonna feel like we're flying, like we've had a great start to the season. I think if we win there, like you say, we get a good win, even better. But getting a win and going into that break, and I think I'm excited for the game, to be honest. I'm looking forward to watching us after watching the derby. I obviously weren't there, I was away, but I'm looking forward to getting back into Goodison and watching us again. And I've got that sort of itch for it again, which I didn't have at all last season. I'm happy about it.
To be a football fan, eh? To have sleepless nights in April, to want to go and watch them again in September, to be excited for it. There's nothing like it. Prediction before we log off, Pricey, Everton West Ham Sunday.
I'm going to go 2-0 to Everton. I honestly do think we'll win, and I do think 2-0. Yeah, go on, I'll go there.
I think if you get Dominic Calvert-Lewin on the pitch, I think if you play 4-3-3, despite the fact that Tom Davies has played well this season, you get just a guy in. I think if you play our strongest team, I think you beat them quite convincingly. I think you're looking 3-0, 3-1. I reckon you can do that to them. I really do, and I hope so. I hope me and you are in the Winslow Disco on Bank Holiday Sunday.
Monday off.
I hope we're enjoying a couple of cold Guinnesses. If anyone sees myself or Pricey, as always, please come and say hello. Pricey does like to portray the shy image, but he enjoys people coming over and saying, "I know you from the YouTube show." He absolutely loves it. So please do keep coming over, and please hit like, please hit subscribe. We are an Everton channel going forward. Lots of plans, lots of ideas to make the show what we want it to be, and what we want it to be is the best, most fun Everton channel that you're going to come across. We'll always talk football, we'll always talk the games, we'll preview the games. We'll always try and do it with banter and debate, like no other podcast, no other YouTube show, shall we say. does. Please give us a like and a subscribe. The Twitter is at Across the Park PC. The Instagram is the same. My name is Ian Mills with Andrew Price. Thank you for watching. See you again next week.